Kids, racism is never, ever okay. Unless you're talking about those damn dirty elves. Hi everybody, I'm Andrew Fantasia. This is Thumb Together, and I probably just lost half of my subscribers with that opening. But it's okay. Let's soldier on. This is Bright. Bright's what we're going to be talking about together. Bright is a Netflix exclusive movie. God, there are just more and more of those. Netflix has taken over the whole damn world. Bright is about a world in which humans and orcs and elves all live together under the same blue skies, occasionally gray skies, because there's a lot of rain in this movie. I want to go on record to start off by saying I freaking love this concept, man. Oh, this is so much fun. I've had some ideas kicking around on the back burner for a while about something kind of similar to this, so when I heard this was coming out, I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I'm jealous that they did it first, and it's Max Landis who wrote this. Max Landis, man, I'm so jealous of that mofo. You're so creative. I want to friggin' have your creative babies, Max. And David Ayer directed it. He's the director of Suicide Squad, so keep that in mind. Let me just, I think that's a good way to preface this. If you felt anything about Suicide Squad, you will feel those things again, directing-wise, with Bright. Just with more creativity and less Jared Leto chewing scenery. So Bright follows two cops, Ward and Jacoby. Ward is played by Will Smith, and he is sort of an angry man. He has been injured in the line of duty. The movie actually begins with him being injured in the line of duty, and he's starting his first day back on the streets as a cop after being injured. And Ward is a human, and his partner, Jacoby, who's played by Joel Edgerton, is an orc. And if you want to talk about, two mismatched partners, baby, it doesn't get any more mismatched than this. Jacoby is, despite his feral appearance, he's not a bad guy. He's actually a really nice dude. He's a very affable fellow. He's quiet. He's kind of reserved. He's not violent at all. And Ward, on the other hand, the human, is just an angry, bitter, resentful person, and he's, punch people first, ask questions never kind of guy, and their personalities really start to clash. I shouldn't even say start to clash. Their personalities begin by clashing and only clash more and more as time goes on. But their relationship really is the crux that Bright revolves around. I mean, it is, in essence, a buddy picture. And I really like what they did with them, because you've got this man, this Will Smith, and usually I love when actors play against type. I do. It's just fun. And Will Smith is usually this really charming guy, who just kind of flashes you that smile, and he's like, hi, I'm Will Smith in West Philadelphia, born and raised. And you're just like, oh, I love him. But he's not that kind of guy this time. He's not going to just smile and wink and then charm the pants off you. He's actually kind of an asshole in this movie. He is kind of a douche. And you don't like him for a long time. And Joel Edgerton, on the other hand, is this pig-faced, horrific-looking monster, but he's a cool guy, and he's like one of those sort of geeky dads who's trying to be like the cool kid, and he's like, hey, give me 5, man. You kids still do give me 5, right? I'm an orc. There are orcs in this world. How about that? That's kind of funny. It really has that great spark of fun that comes with these outlandish situations in real world scenarios kind of thing. Speaking of world, I think that's what we should sort of really zoom in on here, is the world Max Landis created in this movie. Like I said, I am jealous of that man, because this is a fantastic world. You all know I love world building. You all know I love creations that sort of build something from the ground up with all this detail, and then you just want to dive in and you want to know everything about the universe and how it works. That's what Bright does right from the get-go. Right from the opening credits, you're like, oh my god, what's that? What's that? That's cool. That's even cooler. And the whole just sort of culture that they create in this world where orcs are real and elves are real. I should sort of point out what they are. Orcs are they're like lower class. They're like janitors. They're looked down upon by society. Elves are the Kim Kardashians and Paris Hiltons of the world. They dress like they own the place. They live in glamorous, like sparkling cityscapes, and they have lots of money, and they're walking around with their little chihuahuas with their noses up in the air. Or the elves are complete assholes, and then the humans are just kind of in the middle of everything. And that's the society in the world of Bright. That's just how it is. It's like humans are just sort of there occupying space. That space is then mopped up by the lower class orcs, and then once the orcs have made themselves scarce, the elves walk their $200,000 prize poodles down the street and say, "Good day, sir." And it really paints a very vivid picture for you, and you can already just sort of start building the world yourself in your own brain. That's how good of a job it does. Like, they just have to establish that, and right from the get-go, okay, I know what this world looked like in 1986. I know what they were doing during Y2K. You can just see it unfolding, which is, I think, a sign of stupendous creativity. So Ward and Jacoby are street cops, pretty much. They're handling the gangsters on the streets. They're dealing with orc gangs and human gangs and such. And then they get in over their heads, because in the world of Bright, there is, in fact, magic. Magic is a real thing. It's just very, 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 very rare. And as soon as it is known that, hey, there's magic, it becomes a big deal. Like a call the FBI, call the National Guard big deal, because there is magic, and we gotta... That's like... Somebody pointed it out in the film. They referred to a magic user as... It's like having a nuclear bomb that can also grant your wishes. It's just like, it's too much power. You cannot keep that shit under control. You need to lock that up and throw away the key. So Ward and Jacoby are, starting what seems to be a routine beat dealing with, the like just pushers and just gangsters just out on the streets, to all of a sudden there's a group of elves who are trying to use a magic wand to resurrect the Dark Lord. And then shit gets real. So, I won't go any further, because spoiler territory is spoiler territory, and we'll get there when we get there. But that should paint you the kind of picture of what kind of movie Bright is. You've got... It's very R-rated, too. I left that out. There's F-bombs aplenty being dropped in this minefield. So you got that sort of Training Day, just gritty, hard-boiled cop drama, and then there's a magic wand. So I love the juxtaposition of that. It's so much fun. So there are a lot of bad people in the city of LA, which is where this takes place, who want this magic wand. There are gangbangers, who are just like, I want that wand, Holmes, because I'm a gangbanger. And then there's corrupt cops, corrupt city officials who want that wand because there's power in that wand and they like power. And then, of course, you've got this secret cabal of, like, Illuminati elves who are legit trying to resurrect a Dark Lord. So that's kind of a big red flag, too. And Ward and Jacoby are just ferrying this wand around and thinking, like, God, like, somebody help us, we're in over our heads. And that's where, that's just the pure fun of Bright. That's where it comes out, is just these two cops who are not friends. They are a different species, literally. And they have to, work together and figure out how to get the hell out of this situation where there are bullets flying at their heads like every 2 seconds. So let's stop there. Let's go into spoilers. There's not a whole lot, but, it would kind of make sense to carry on with this, because stuff does get significantly crazy come the third act. And to kick this off, I will probably say that if there is anything about this movie that I don't like, it's the third act. I mean, it had this great setup. It had this great conflict. Everything throughout was working like a charm. It was a lot of fun. It had little elements of The Fifth Element in there. It had little elements of just a lot of great, like I said before, Training Day, lots of great little cop movies sprinkled in there. Then it gets to the third act, and I don't know if it was just me, but it started feeling really silly. And that's not a word I like to use too often, but it did. It felt kind of silly. The comedy was falling flat, and the action was falling flat. So that kind of petered it out for me. But granted, that's not a huge deal, because I find that that's just, it's an unfortunate pattern of movies coming out of Hollywood today. I found like in the last 5 years, 80% of the movies I see, whether or not they're good, they don't have a good third act. It's just, I don't know, maybe third acts are the hardest part of a screenplay to write. Personally, I find the first act to be the hardest, but that's just me. So I don't know, maybe that just sort of is a point of contention among Hollywood. It's just like, God, we can't figure out these third acts. But that's how this sat with me. It was just everything sort of got watered down in the third act, and then when it ended, I was expecting something a little. I was expecting a bigger push. It was very straightforward. They do a thing, the bad guys are defeated, and I'm like, okay, so it's not that easy, right? But turns out, yeah, it was that easy, and that's it. And then they heal from their wounds, and that's the end of the movie, and they get medals. It was just very quick and rushed and watered down, and I didn't like that. I was not a fan. So the first 2/3 of this movie, loved. Third act, really could have used a script doctor in there. Besides Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, I gotta say the casting was really nice in this movie. There were some nice little surprises in there. Noomi Rapace was the villain. She was kind of a bland villain, I'm not gonna lie. She was just this elf who was really good at fighting and wanted the magic wand. I couldn't even tell you what her name was. But it was Noomi Rapace. I like her. You got Brad William Henke, who is... I know him from Lost. He was in this. He actually had a really good role. He played the leader of an orc gang. And he was friggin' terrifying. And he had a lot of layers to him, too. So Brad William Henke, you did a great job. Veronica Ngo, she's in this. This is her second movie this month in which she has no lines of dialogue and in which she gets killed by a bomb going off. It happened to her in Star Wars, and it happens to her in Bright. Long story short, somebody please give Veronica Ngo some dialogue and keep her the hell away from explosive devices. That poor girl has suffered enough. And then there's other little cameo sprinkled in there. Like Baron Holtz has a small part where he's basically playing the same character he played in Suicide Squad. So, yay. I mean, he's got a mustache. There's a lot of mustaches in this movie, come to think of it. So that's Bright in a nutshell. I would say that watch it for the first and second acts because of how goddamn fun they are. And most of all, watch it for just how freaking balls to the wall creative it is. And I dare you to walk away from this without saying, damn, that world they built was a lot of fun. I dare you to think otherwise. But just be forewarned, the third act is going to kind of leave you wanting more, and not in a great way. So that is Bright. That is the love story between a man and his orc, or an orc and his man. You know, it could go either way. Thank you so much for watching Thumb Together. Please be sure to like me and subscribe to this channel so that I can keep making Thumb Togethers. Otherwise, I'm just going to be making nothing, and nobody will enjoy that. Except maybe me. I'll see you next time, my friends. Until then, don't be mean to orcs. They're people too.